You're listening to DraftKings Network.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
I think the Dolphins are making the Super Bowl. I genuinely think they're making the Super Bowl.
So do I. They have Tyreek Hill, who's clearly a game breaker, and shifted the power in the conference from Kansas City to Miami all of a sudden.
Vic Fangio is the god, the lowercase g there. No offense to anybody. He's the god of defensive coordinators, and they're ready to do it, man. Mike McDaniel digging in to his second season. He's familiar now. He's more comfortable.
Yep.
They're ready. They're ready. Dolphins haven't been to a Super Bowl in almost 40 years, since Dan Marino's 1984, and they're ready. They're going to do it.
The Dolphins are overwhelming. I'm not certain they're not the best team in the NFL right now, Greg.
I mean, I could talk for the whole show about why they're a better team and why they're better than Buffalo.
Dolphins offenses have ruined football for me. Like, I can't watch a football game that's not the Dolphins.
It's done the exact opposite for me.
I just can't.
Made football amazing.
Like, I'm watching. No,
Same.
it's great, but I'm saying it's ruined the rest of football for me. Like, I can't watch just a single game that's not the Dolphins.
Tua is everything they thought he would be when they drafted him number 5 ahead of Herbert. Tua is the favorite in the MVP odds right now.
Should be.
With great reason.
Yep.
And I just think this is the most dynamic, well-balanced, inventive, exciting offense I've ever had.
We're all watching something we don't understand, and he's out tacticianing people on things we don't understand. This is the most overwhelming offense I have ever seen the franchise play, a franchise of Dan Marino. Tua is getting rid of the ball the way that Tom Brady does in speed, with Drew Brees' accuracy.
This should be the Dolphins' year, though, right? I mean, this is the best chance they've had at winning a Super Bowl in 25 years.
Correct.
With the accuracy, that's not stoppable.
Miami Dolphins! Woo!
The Dolphins' offense is, until somebody proves otherwise, almost unstoppable.
Look at the delight on David Samson's face. I think the people in the back row today are trying to fool me. Put it on the poll, Juju at Le Batard Show. Do reading glasses make you look more responsible? We've got a back row of total anarchy, and in the front row, we've got Chris Cody in charge, and he's a mess because of everything happening with the Dolphins. You are just beginning an offseason of everyone questioning your quarterback and everything that's happening there. We'll get to David Sampson's business thoughts on this in a second. But first, Chris, tell the people what kind of mess you are today.
I'm all over the place. In the last 24 hours, I've traded Tua. I've signed him to a max deal. I can't decide what I want to do. I don't know if he's good. I don't know what any of this means. I don't know if the season was a good season. I've flown all over the place on every single topic with the Dolphins. This is what I'm saying. Like, that's how I feel.
David, what should the Dolphins do with Tua? What are the business merits of he's the best quarterback you've had in 25 years, no matter how many people are questioning him?
So you don't have to make a decision. One of the things that gets owners in trouble is when they make decisions before they have to. A lesser known situation is when the Red Sox gave the extension to Chris Sale, or the Tigers, your guy Dave Dombrowski gave an extension to our Miguel Cabrera when he didn't have to, or Dontrell Willis when he didn't have to. You just don't need to do anything with Tua right now. I don't think it's necessary. I think you wait, because are you sure that Tua is the person? And from a business standpoint, are you interested in the money that you're making as a team with your ancillary businesses, which is what Steve Ross does, ancillary to the Dolphins around Hard Rock Stadium and within Hard Rock Stadium? Or are you interested in possibly getting to the Super Bowl for the first time in most people's lifetimes? And I think if it's the latter, you need to wait, because as quirky and great as Mike McDaniel is, we don't know for sure whether or not the Dolphins are in a position to be competitive at the end. And it doesn't matter what happens at the beginning of a season, or it matters what happens at the end. And owners get pressured by PR. And the good news is in Miami, the PR is all over, as Chris Cody just said. So I think the Dolphins wait.
So you're saying just let him play out his option year?
Play it out. There's nothing wrong with letting players play out their contract. Every owner gets nervous. Oh, we're going to lose him. Oh, he's going to be a free agent. Oh, we're going to have to end up paying more. So now people are speculating, oh, just give him $100 million guaranteed, and that's sort of in the middle, where it's neither here nor there. You're not really giving him the max. You're not getting close to Watson, but you're still then saying that he's going to be the quarterback that you want as your franchise quarterback. And to me, Baker Mayfield did just fine.
But on the flip side, there is benefit to when you know it's your guy, you lock them up. I mean, that happened in baseball with Evan Longoria, with the Rays. That's happened with the Braves, have now an all-star team for the next decade because they locked everyone up. I guess the Tua question is he their guy, right? Because if he is their guy, then they should try to lock him up, because if they don't, then they're going to have to start over again if he's too expensive, right?
The question also is not just is he their guy, but it's how much do you have to pay him if he's your guy? Because the examples you just brought up are bringing guys in for what eventually became below market value and were guys on sort of cheaper deals than they would have gotten when they got to free agency, where Tua, if he gets paid and extended, will likely do so as one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. So I can actually understand where David's coming from to an extent with Tua of, hey, if he just plays out this year, yeah, you might have to pay him what might be an even bigger deal going into the following offseason, and you risk the opportunity of losing him. But at the same time, if you're unsure as to whether or not he's the guy in the system, I can understand waiting it out.
Well, that's the thing. If he is your guy, sign him now, because it's only going to go up. It's not going to go down if you wait a year.
Are you sure? Because he just led the league in passing. If he gets hurt and they're
because the contracts always go up.
But if they're 9-8 next year and you're even less sure than you were before, is it going to go up? Like, I mean, he couldn't have had a much better. He had a terrible ending, but he couldn't have had a much better regular season. He was healthy and he led the league in passing.
What I'm saying is, if he's your guy, which they would know or not know, if he's your guy, lock him up. Because if he's not your guy, then you can let him go. But if he is, and you're going to lock him up a year from now, it can go from $45 million to $60 million.
I think we have to play the game. 2 in or 2 out. Was that the game? Is he your guy, Billy Gill?
We have set a record for asking whether someone is someone else's guy in this segment, and we're 10 minutes into the segment.
Still don't have an answer.
David, no, we're not going to have an answer for 7 years, just like with Tannehill.
He's
we're going to do it. We're going to do it all over again. We're going to do the same thing that we did for 7 years.
I'm 2 in.
With Tannehill. David, can you tell me what you made of Peacock drawing 23 million people to its streaming services? The other games all did better than that. All the other games on network television did better than that, and Cowboys-Packers was at almost double that, but 23 million, they're trumpeting it as the greatest streaming victory in the history of the United States, in the history of things being streamed.
Well, let's not get too crazy, because until we see the numbers, and we'll never see the numbers, but maybe someone will find them. Maybe Pablo Torre will find out. I want to know how many people both signed up for Peacock and then kept it. That is where the money is. The 23 million also is an incorrect number, because that number includes all the people in Miami and Kansas City. Now, there were way more in Kansas City, but the number of people who watched the game on regular television. So it wasn't actually 23 million streaming. However, I think what fans have to realize, and so many people were so upset that, oh, it's just streaming. You guys did a whole segment on how grandparents will figure out where to find the game. The NFL could not care less about that demographic and having them understand where to find games. They're focused on getting as many possible entities to bid for the right. Peacock paid $100 million just for that game. Extrapolate that over an extended playoffs, extrapolate that over a regular season, and you're talking about a huge amount of money going to these owners. I think what the Peacock game did is hopefully helped inform all of you that more and more games will be streamed, and your CEO, John Skipper, is going to be correct, where the Super Bowl will eventually be behind a paywall. It's coming, and it's coming soon.
How crazy are you made as someone who cares so much about baseball business that football just stumbles into giant oil wells of money, and they don't have to be monogamous, exclusive with anybody? Like they are just capable of creating money streams in all sorts of new places in ways that are really ridiculous.
it's not just MLB. Think about what the NBA just announced in the last couple of days. I don't know if you guys covered this, that the NBA draft is going to be over several days now. They're trying to make it an event the way the NFL's draft is an event. We spent years just trying to be like football. What can we do? But the biggest difference is NFL shares all of its national broadcast revenue, and there's no local broadcast revenue. And that's just what the NBA and MLB will never be. So therefore, what is it about the NFL that really bothers me the most? It's that 40 million watched the Cowboys-Packers game, and a total of not even 50 million watched the entire World Series. What bothers me the most is when the list of top 100 shows comes out, and 86 of them are NFL games. So badly, we want to be able to send a press release that more people are engaging with baseball and that more young people are playing it, all in an effort to just get more broadcast revenue. The NBA is doing the same thing as they're going into a negotiation, but at the end of the day, NFL is uncatchable, and that's the problem.
Stugotz here from my friends over at Simply Safe. Been telling you about them for years. Why? I have had their home security system in my house for many, many years, protecting both me and my family. I would not recommend anyone else. In fact, they were named Best Home Security of 2023 by U.S. News and World Report. Simply Safe is comprehensive protection for the whole home, detecting and alerting you not only to break-ins, but fires, floods, and other threats to your home, getting you the help you need. Simply Safe prioritizes your privacy. That's why their indoor security cameras are the only ones on the market with physical privacy shutters to ensure your privacy 24/7. Try Simply Safe for 60 days, risk-free. If you don't love it, return your system for a full refund. Keep your home and family safer than ever in the new year. As a listener, you can save 20% on your new system with Fast Protect monitoring by visiting simplysafe.com/DLB. Customize your system in just minutes. That's simplysafe.com/DLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Don Le Batard.
Oh, I like firing people. So I take the opportunity to fire whenever I possibly can because I can use it as a learning experience for them and try to help them out and try to point out what they did wrong. But in this case, the employee was enough levels below where I was that I did not do the firing, but I had it done within moments of discovery.
I like firing people. It's just absurd. It's absurd.
Stugotz.
I'm talking about people who I fire who deserve it, who have done something that actively requires me to fire them. It is my unadulterated pleasure to do so.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
His podcast is Nothing Personal. It is live at 8 a.m. every morning, every weekday morning on YouTube. Billy, you have been, locally and nationally, the only one brave enough to call out the flirtations of Dwyane Wade when he's a Heat lifer but goes elsewhere. He just got a statue.
It's not flirtations. It's full-on effing.
All right. It's full-on effing.
He left and went to other places. It's not like, oh, hey,
all
nice
right.
shirt. It's penetration station.
Okay. It's penetration station.
It's what?
You heard him. It's penetration station. And Billy came in here unhinged this morning. He's had a couple of days off, and he's crazed. And
trust me, when you work with Stugotz, you don't have any days off.
One of the things that's happening with him, though, is he is willing to go where other people in this town are not willing to go when it comes to the excess that we bestow upon Udonis Haslem and Dwyane Wade, where I can't keep track of the ceremonies because every couple of weeks they have some sort of other ceremony to celebrate these guys retiring many years ago.
Let's be very clear on the front end here. I have not taken any shots at Udonis Haslem. That is you. You're the one beefing with him and feuding with him, not me. You're the one writing articles doubting him, not me. What I said was, Jeremy said, oh, this Friday I'm covering the Heat game. We're doing Udonis Haslem's retirement. I go, another one? Like, we just did this with Dwyane Wade, 3 days ago. Can we space these out a little bit? What are we doing that every game is this special honor where we're bringing back old timers and doing this and that? Let's space these things out. Give me time to miss people. Why are we doing everything so close together? I don't understand.
I can understand what you're saying about giving some time to miss people, but wasn't the whole complaint before that we were doing all of it in all of these different weeks? They've got 1 week. Dwyane Wade just got his Hall of Fame enshrinement honoree and was told that he was going to be given a statue in the fall of this year. Udonis Haslem is getting his number retired now. Now, I can understand with Dwyane Wade, where it's felt like a lot. Because the last 2 games of he had the Last Dance, right? Or rather, what was that one? Yeah, Last Dance, where it was his entire final season that was sort of documented, and everybody was giving him rocking chairs, etc. But then his final 2 games, his final home game was his last game, his final road game was his last game, the game in Brooklyn. Then he comes and gets his number retired, and now it's this announcement.
There was a
after the Hall
movie
of
too
Fame.
in the middle of all of that. I remember going to see the movie at the arena. Like,
all right, hold on a second. Let me get David Sampson's
There's a key under a doormat. There's too much.
25,000. That was for LeBron, I think. That's what got Pat Riley.
No. LeBron was hit the road, Jack. You're out of here.
No, Pat Riley got fined $25,000 on Freedom for leaving the key under the mat for LeBron.
You're welcome.
I just don't understand Billy's dislike for Wade. You know your favorite.
It's not dislike.
You know your favorite
for Wade.
Marlin player played for another team too.
It's not dislike for Wade. You're the one suggesting that Dwayne's statue should be him. What were you suggesting? Him?
Well, no.
Him
Okay,
as a Cav.
Let's not misrepresent this. Let's not misrepresent this. I said, are we ever going to get honest statues? And then I said it would be funny if when they unveiled the statue, it was LeBron and Wade doing the Rachel Nichols interview in Cavs uniforms, because that's all he ever did on the Cavs. That's what I said.
Okay.
If I'm going to be honest.
That strikes me as anti-Wade, but let's play the sound
I don't
here.
understand. If I'm historically accurate, I'm anti-someone for simply selling the truth.
Yeah,
like,
but
for telling the truth, I'm anti-someone.
But saying that he's not a Heat lifer.
He's not
like
a Heat lifer.
Goran Dragic is a Heat lifer.
No,
he
he's
played for
not
like
either.
12 teams.
That's a whole nother thing. I don't understand that. That guy supposedly wanted to come back to the Heat so bad and had like 3 opportunities to come back to the Heat, didn't come back to the Heat, and now is going and is playing a game in like Slovenia.
Yeah.
One more game. He can't even do that on the Heat. He loves the Heat so much, didn't want to sign with the Heat, but he's having all of his Heat friends go to Slovenia to play a game. What is that? How much does he actually like this team? And then he has like season tickets practically. He's sitting in the stands every game, and they're like, you want to play for us? He's like, nope, don't want to play for you. And then a microphone's there, he's like, I love the Heat. I'd love to play for the Heat. Well, sign with the Heat then, buddy. What are you doing? You're here. You have nothing but time on your hands. Go play for the Heat if you want to play for the Heat so bad. What are we doing? I don't understand this. You guys are so stupid. You let these people paint these fancy narratives that just go to what you want to believe, and you fall for it every time. What's wrong with you guys? You're gonna honor Goran in 2 weeks. I already know it. You're gonna retire his number 2. We're running out of numbers, people. We're running out of numbers.
We're the
and
Yankees.
Chris Cody's here's like, Jaime Jaquez, whatever. We should retire his number 2. Okay, great. Let's retire his number 2. Oh, he's gonna lead this team on a finals run. I've heard that about everyone from Jimmy Butler to Tyler Hero to what's his name? Bumpy that you called him. Tyler Johnson.
I never said that about him.
You guys were all over Tyler Johnson. All over Tyler Johnson.
David Sampson, we will hold that Udonis Haslem sound for later in the show. He is indeed mad at me. Sampson, your thoughts on Wade getting a statue and whether or not it should be a statue of him, LeBron, and Rachel Nichols commemorating all he did
in
for
that
the
interview.
Cavs in the interview.
I'm still reveling in the fact that Billy is so upset about something other than the Marlins right now.
I'm not upset. What upsets
You sound upset.
What upsets me is you guys. It's not even them. It's you guys. You guys are the fish that come out of the water with 3 hook holes, and it's like,
Marlins.
how do you guys keep getting hooked by the same fishermen over and over again? I don't understand it. Do you not learn? Any of you, do you not learn? This is just a game they're playing.
You
with
only
you at this
do
point.
this to the Heat, though. Like, you love Juan Pierre. He played for other teams. Like, the fact that you're holding...
Mr. Marlin played for 9
The fact that you're
teams.
holding...
Worst nickname ever, Mr. Marlin.
The fact that you're holding Wade going somewhere at the very end of his career
two other
against
places.
him is just...
Two other places.
It's blasphemy.
It's not.
Sampson?
I have some concern about statues in general because I am hurt. We had a statue ready to go for Jose Fernandez. We had the artist hired. We had the mold ready. And then the team got sold, and the new owners decided that they were not going to allow any sort of statue, any sort of anything for Jose Fernandez because it was too difficult a conversation to have because of the circumstances under which he passed away. And so they just decided to completely just get rid of Jose and any part about him. So that's a bit personal with me. So it has changed how I view statues. I would go around to different ballparks when the team was on the road and look at the different statues and which players get them and how. The most famous statue, of course, was the one in Pudge Rodriguez's backyard. He had a full 12-foot statue of himself in his own backyard, one of the greatest statues you'll ever see. And my only question is, when you decide a statue, it's a huge decision because in theory it's not supposed to go away like a retired number, except we unretired a number with the Marlins, which was a horrible move. But if you give one to Wade, how many statues and where are they going to be and who's going to see them? What's the location? That's what's fascinating to me. Do you put Wade in the prime spot? Where's LeBron's statue going to go? You can't do it behind where the park was going to be. So do you put it right at the entrance? Do you then put two next to each other and then Bosch doesn't get one? Or Butler or any of the other great that's not even the right statue that I'm talking about. That's the one that he got in Texas. The one you'll never see a picture of was the one in his backyard. But in any case, the Heat are an example of a franchise. They do things in a very knee-jerk way when it comes to honoring, which is funny because when it comes to building their team, they are methodical and successful. And this all started for me back in 2003, the year we were winning a World Series, when the Heat inexplicably and infuriatingly retired Michael Jordan's number in a move that I've never forgiven them for because, A, it's a terrible precedent to ever retire the number of a player who wasn't yours unless it's a league-wide initiative like Roberto Clemente, let's say. So I just don't know what Pat Riley's gig is as it relates to statues and retired numbers, but it's way too much.
David, I don't know what you were seeing in preview there. It wasn't a statue that was on the big screen for the viewer to see. So you were reacting to something that only you were seeing there and the rest of us were not seeing. I believe I have seen a public photograph of the statue that Pudge Rodriguez had. We will, in his yard, which was laughably funny. We will see if we can find that. But can you tell me the unretiring of a number? You unretired the number that you had given Carl Barger, correct?
It wasn't me. We inherited. Carl Barger was the first president. I was the third president in Marlins history. Dombrowski was 2, and Carl Barger was 1. Carl Barger, I believe, passed away prior to the first game the Marlins ever played. And Wayne Huizenga retired his number, but he didn't have a number. They just said it was number 5. Maybe that was his favorite number. And one day, Jeffrey Loria walked into my office and said, "We're giving Logan Morrison 5." And I said, "No, it's retired." He said, "No, we're unretiring it." And I said, "You can't unretire a number." And he had promised Logan that he would get number 5. So that was it for Carl Barger. We moved it from a retired number to like a plaque. And it always bothered me, and I lost that argument with everybody. And I spoke to Logan about it, and he didn't know who Carl Barger was. It didn't matter to him. And I think the whole purpose of retiring a number is that you keep that flame alive so people keep the legacy and learn about the person. I just don't think you can unretire a number. It's not right.
Carl Barger was the late president of the Marlins. His favorite baseball player was Joe DiMaggio, whose number was number 5. And I want the audience to absorb the uproarious hilarity in unretiring a dead man's favorite number who started your franchise for Logan Morrison. Like
that's the thing.
It's unbelievable. Put up the statue, please, now on the screen that Pudge Rodriguez had in his backyard. A just glowing testament to narcissism and self.
The statue's the second most ridiculous thing in the photo.
I know, right? He's on a motorcycle in front of the statue. That would make a better statue than the statue, I think.
Motorcycle on grass.
Him on the motorcycle. That is correct. What are you shaking your head about, David?
I'm just reminiscing about the party that he hosted after the World Series. We all had a blast. We had won the World Series. We went to his house. This is back before some of the issues he had financially, but he had an amazing house in Miami. When you go over the causeway, there's these exclusive areas. And then we go to the backyard. None of us had ever known. None of his teammates had known because he really wasn't necessarily that close to his teammates. So no one had been to his house. And we walked into the backyard, and there this thing was, and you could see people. Like, I remember Derek Lee's reaction like it was yesterday. You sort of look at it and you're like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. And to this day, I've never seen anything like that.
Did you call Dwyane Wade's statue knee-jerk?
Yes.
What are you doing?
He's the greatest player in their franchise's history. And building him a statue makes all the sense in the world. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer off the court at this point as well.
Best athlete in this market of my lifetime.
Yeah, and LeBron, you said where are you going to put the LeBron statue? You won't put a LeBron statue. He played here for 4 seasons. He was their best player, but your greatest player was Dwyane Wade, and your culture carrier is Udonis Haslem, and that's why he gets his number retired. So I think it makes all the sense in the world, and these things have been thought out for years, not just right now.
Culture carrier
be a LeBron statue.
Culture carrier makes it sound like a virus, makes it sound like something that is disease. It is when it comes to you yammering about it.
Hey, it's Mike Ryan. I love football, and I love Miller Lite. Why do I love Miller Lite? Well, dependable flavor, the fact that it's a beer that tastes like beer, the fact that when I'm having a Miller Lite, I don't have to think for 1 second about the beer that I'm drinking. And I know that it's only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. It's my favorite beer. I believe in the product. You might be sick of hearing me talk about it, but I'll be talking about it till I'm old and gray, because Miller Lite is with me wherever I go, no matter the season, and especially the wintertime. I love drinking Miller Lite during the winters because when it's cold outside, I don't need a koozie for it. It stays a perfect temp. It is the best beer, and it pairs well with playoff football. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere that they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Dan Le Batard.
Teammates can't shoot from 3. Now they're gonna see a different Jimmy. Now he's just playing Nickelback in the locker room, and
Stugotz.
they'll play D and shoot 3s as they chase the Nets for the 6th seed. These 5 words in his head scream, "Are we winning games yet?"
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I cannot imagine how insane David Samson was made by Adnan Virk at the Critics' Choice Awards, revealing a whole bunch of photographs, including an annoyed Robert De Niro trying very quickly to walk past Adnan, and Adnan taking the picture while he was walking past unhappily. Like, Robert De Niro did not want any part of saying hello to Adnan Virk. He was giving him the side eye, clearly. But I wanted to wait to talk Emmys with David Samson because I know he cares about all this awards bullshit deeply. How did you feel about Adnan Virk's photographic celebrity star bleeping?
So you have to understand that Adnan was texting me all these photos. I didn't think he was going to post them. He sent me the De Niro photo, and he said to me, "Look, my buddy De Niro." And I responded like, "Buddy, it's like he wants to have you arrested. No interest. You're not posting that, right?" And the next thing I know, of course, it's being posted. And I went right to trying to understand Meadowlark and trying to understand how it all works and how he goes to the Critics' Choice Awards. Why is that paid for by Meadowlark? What's the advantage? What content are you getting from it? You know, other than putting pictures of people who've been on his podcast, how about getting new people on the podcast? How about adding value? Instead, it literally looks like Adnan is stalking people.
Oh no, he was. If you want to listen to today's Cinephile, he details the entire night, and it's just him sitting around waiting for this guy to go to the bathroom. I'm going to follow him there and get a selfie. It's kind of gross, but it's also adorable because he's so excited to be there. He went there on his own dime. He maybe could have gotten Meadowlark to cover it, but he paid for it all himself. And I just look at him. He's so happy. He met Paul Giamatti. Come on, how can you hate this guy?
What were those squares? Did he take a screenshot of the iPhone trying to focus?
He did say that the Will Ferrell one was a terrible selfie. Put that one back up.
Well,
that's just like...
Will Ferrell was there for a second, and he was fumbling with his phone, and Adnan got the best shot that he could.
I think he screenshotted himself taking a picture while the phone was trying to focus on him and Will Ferrell's face. These are all terrible selfies.
He actually said Will Ferrell, of all of them, recognized them. Like, was like, "Hey, I know you." And that was the only one that gave that. No, all the other people did not.
I just think that what you're doing is creating a monster in Adnan who already thinks his movie takes are so far superior. And now you put him in a room with all these celebrities where he somehow actually is delusional enough to think he's friends with them. And he posts this and then gets a podcast out of it. So I hope from Meadowlark's standpoint that the ratings are great and the downloads are great, but I just don't see the value. If you're going to send Adnan, you have to send me too, because then we could do a show together and we could actually.
We didn't send him. He sent himself.
I know, but I don't buy that. I wait for the expense report.
I would like to quickly just flip through all these selfies because they're all bad for different reasons. Like the exposure is behind him in a lot of them. One of them's just a screenshot of a picture. One of them he's cutting his own head off. Like they're all poorly constructed selfies, but each for it's actually very impressive to be this bad at.
You know what? She's totally right. Blurry. Let's roll through these one at a time and find the flaws in each of them.
This one might be the best one.
Bill Hader
might be the best one.
Okay, we're being haters, and this might be the best one, but Bill Hader is far behind him, but he's engaged. Let's see the next one here, and that's.
He said John Hamm of all of them was not unfriendly, but just was like, buddy, come on.
What are you doing?
He felt the energy from John Hamm of like, I don't want to be taking this
and
photo.
You can tell because he put half of his face outside of the frame, I think maybe as like a reaction to the hostility emanating from John Hamm's body.
Yep.
It is an awkward photo. This photo here is too much light, way too much light on Adnan's face. You can't see half of Adnan's face
also
with
blurry.
Seth Rogen. Also blurry, yes, Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen, wow, that's pretty good right there. Limited fake Seth Rogen's high laugh. Let's see what else we have here. Yes, Will Ferrell there. The mistake is obvious.
It's wrong.
That's honestly impressive. I've never seen anybody be able to take a screenshot while a picture is happening like that. I'm almost more impressed than it being a bad picture.
Who is the celebrity in the background with the tiny box in front of their face? That's an underrated part of this selfie.
All terrible, all worse than the last. There's Wamsgams.
Awful lighting with this one.
Terrible lighting. Okay, so David, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, a lot of people are making fun of Bob Odenkirk and Better Call Saul because they're the biggest loser in the history of the Emmys. No one's been nominated more for an Emmy without ever winning one than Bob Odenkirk. And put it on the poll, please, Juju. Does Bob Odenkirk look physically like someone who has lost 53 Emmy nominations? I would say Better Call Saul was better than The Bear, and I'm offended by the idea that Better Call Saul has never won.
Different categories. The Bear was comedy.
Okay, well,
which is ridiculous in and of
This is
itself.
the whole issue. This is the whole issue. It's almost like the
Succession was comedy.
Well, it's like the All-NBA voting. Like, eventually they had to get rid of the center position and just make it 3 forwards, and it's the same thing now. All of these shows are hybrids, right? Succession is a comedy, The Bear is a drama, but it's nominated for comedy and the other one's nominated for drama. None of it makes sense. Better Call Saul was the only true drama that was remarkable like this, and to be nominated 53 times and never win. There were some of the things that won over it. You know, season 8 of Game of Thrones, the one that everybody hated, the
one
ending,
with the Starbucks cup,
won over season 4 of Better Call Saul. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
That makes me sick.
Yeah, Cousin Greg, look, he was good at his job and his role, but the idea that he won supporting actor over any of the other supporting characters in Better Call Saul over the span of these years, there's so many different examples of times when these actors, these characters should have won. It's Ray Seahorn that's the most infuriating of all of them. She was unbelievable, and to have a true dramatic performance like that, one that was like Shakespearean in the level of acting that she had, to have that lose to Jennifer Coolidge, who was comedic in the drama, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I love Jennifer Coolidge, but that was not the same level of performance.
And the other thing is, Carol Burnett should have been nominated for Best Guest Actress because she was so good in that final season.
Let me play for the audience here real quick before we get David's thoughts on this. All of the shots of Bob Odenkirk losing at the Emmys. Just play all of them.
And the Emmy goes to John Hamm.
And the Emmy goes to Rami Malek.
And the Emmy goes to Sterling K. Brown. Lee Jung-jae!
Nothing's new.
The Emmy goes to Kieran Culkin.
Samson, your thoughts?
I hate the fact that you're forced to clap for someone else. They're not rooting for someone else to win. And I think it's so disingenuous when they show the people who lose and they're cheering and saying, yeah, go, and clapping. They really want to drop them the bird and they want to leave. And so Odenkirk, I think the last year when Culkin won over him just a couple days ago, I think that was the final straw because he knew the show was over and that was his last time, his last chance, and he didn't hide his contempt. And deservedly so, he should feel that contempt.
He also had a freaking heart attack while filming the last season of the show and came back and delivered for the fans. I'm with Jer. That was Jeremy's best rant in show history. Jer Bear. Give it up for Jer Bear, the Emmy for best rant in show history.
Unimpressed.
I mean, he almost died. You're just going to give him an award for good acting because he almost died? They're unrelated.
We do that all the time.
Billy had a good rant earlier in the show. I think he deserves the Emmy for so far.
That was also
he's nominated. Yeah, he's nominated.
I'm happy for Jeremy.
What are you reviewing for us this week, Samson?
Can we talk about The Mission? Has anyone in your group seen the documentary called The Mission?
No.
Okay, so I want to explain it to you. Do you remember the story of the guy, the religious zealot who went to the group of people who live in the North Sentinel Islands off India, where you're not allowed to go because they're cannibals? They're not a civilized group of human beings. They have separate laws. It's very simple. You cannot go to that island. But this guy said, no, I'm going to go there and I'm going to convert them all to my religion. Sort of like Elder Cunningham type stuff. So he goes there and then he never comes back. Shockingly, he got eaten. Wonder why that would be. So this documentary is the first time they are giving you the true story, and you're getting video because there were videos of his efforts to get to the island, and people sort of scared they had to drop him off. There's no dock or anything. It's a bunch of savages who live as savages. And I was watching this documentary thinking, what kind of hubris did these religious zealots have that they think that they're going to go and say, you guys need to find God? And then they end up as lunch. It is a documentary called The Mission, and you should watch it because A, you're going to learn something, and B, it'll get you thinking about why is it that we need people, and this goes for our country too. Why do we need people to believe what we believe in order to make us feel better about what we believe? I don't know the answer to that.
So while forcing his religion on a group of people on an island, he was cannibalized? Is what you're saying?
He said lunch, actually, was how he punctuated it.
They are cannibals. They are savages. This group, this community, if you can call it a community, I'm not sure they have a government. And he never came back. And the hypothesis, I mean, they don't have guns or anything. They use bow and arrow, is that he was killed and his body was never recovered, and that he was killed and eaten.
I've always thought about, cannibalism is so wild. Dan, me and you, let's pretend we were on a plane, the two of us. It crashes, and we end up on an island together, all right? And you're like, hey, I'm older than you. I'm going to sacrifice myself. I'm going to die here, and you can eat me to survive. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Do I have
the thigh, probably.
Do I have to rip your leg off completely?
You mean you don't know how to butcher a human?
Am I just gonna start gnawing at his skin? Do I need to get through skin
You
first?
should cook him.
Just ask him.
Light a fire.
So light a fire and just roast him.
Well, you don't want to do it as sushi.
Like the pig on Noche Buena?
Yes.
Just put you in a box.
But you absolutely have to cook me.
Okay, so I can't just start gnawing at your calf.
No, that's unwise.
I just don't that's what I think. People say this who are we gonna eat here? I wouldn't even know where to begin in terms of eating someone.
Well, there's a new movie about this right now called Silence of the Snow that is based on the crash of in the Andes of the soccer team. And it was a movie a while ago called Alive. It may be before your time. Alive, anybody?
Yeah, a soccer team that crashed and they had to eat each other.
So am I taking all of Dan's clothes off? Can I just heat all your clothes and the clothes?
Are you going to eat the clothes?
You don't eat the clothes.
That's my point. So I have to picture me on an island now, declothing Dan. So now I have to make Dan fully nude. It's just I'll probably leave his underwear on just because it's awkward.
That's the awkward part.
I mean, it's all awkward. That's the point.
You'll eventually have to eat that too, though.
Hey, it's Mike Ryan. I love football, and I love Miller Lite. Why do I love Miller Lite? Well, dependable flavor, the fact that it's a beer that tastes like beer, the fact that when I'm having a Miller Lite, I don't have to think for 1 second about the beer that I'm drinking. And I know that it's only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. It's my favorite beer. I believe in the product. You might be sick of hearing me talk about it, but I'll be talking about it till I'm old and gray, because Miller Lite is with me wherever I go, no matter the season, and especially the wintertime. I love drinking Miller Lite during the winters because when it's cold outside, I don't need a koozie for it. It stays a perfect temp. It is the best beer, and it pairs well with playoff football. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere that they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.